and welcome to Season 4, Joe's, Episode 1, our 45th show of Healthy Living with Marilyn. Today is a great day. We are celebrating 1 year on YouTube. 1 year, Joe's.
Yay! Happy anniversary.
Josie even brought some balloons so we could party. It's like I've been waiting for this day. And I'm so glad Josie's back because Josie's been gone for a while. How have you, Josie?
I have. I've been traveling, but I'm always coming home.
Yep. She's out. One time you were in Boise, right?
Boise, Idaho, yep.
Yeah.
Been in D.C., been on the road.
She's been everywhere. Well, I was everywhere last week. I was in Florida. I was at a Les Brown event in Florida for 5 days. That was real interesting. Couldn't wait to get home.
No place like home.
No place like home. No place like your own bed, I'll tell you.
Gosh,
it was great. It was great. So I want to welcome Josie back. Thank you, girlfriend, so much.
I'm happy to be here. Couldn't miss our anniversary.
I know. We've been on the air for 1 year. It's been a great run. It really has, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a great run. And to celebrate that, I have a wonderful, he's not only a guest, but he is a friend. He's a real good friend. His name is Dr. Steve Taubman. Dr. Steve Sakius, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Marilyn. Hi, Josie. What a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Yeah, so Steve wrote a book called Buddha in the Trenches. Yeah, it's a good book. It's a really good book. I've read it about 3 times already. I'm going to take it with me. I'm going up to my mom's tomorrow. I'm going to take it with me.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is like really good reading. Really. And I got stuff that just fell all out. That's why we have it live.
That's okay.
That's okay.
This is good.
Yeah. So, Buddha, it's a great book. It has really helped me stay focused and move forward. I mean, your book has really been a pivotal piece of literature for me, Steve. Thoroughly.
Well, thank you for saying that. What are some of the things that have been most impactful for you?
The one thing that really hit home was the video, the Facebook page video you did. I have gone back and looked at that several times on focus. How to stay focused. And he's using focus as a muscle. Focus you have to use, right, Steve? Focus is a muscle.
Yeah, that's really that's a core principle here. And we'll definitely tease that out a little bit today. I think that I did want to go back for a moment and say that I'm glad that you're bringing the book to visit your mom. I always find that people read my books, they find it makes it easier to survive family gatherings.
You got that right. That's like my Bible for sanity.
Well, there are a few different things that we are challenged by in our lives that require focus, that require mindfulness. And, for some of us, it means that we have no idea what we want to do. Sometimes we need focus just to figure out where we're going. Right? I've been there myself. I think every once in a while I get to a place where I'm not sure what's next, and I need to retreat, and I need to become introspective, and I need to stop thinking I need to do what I've always done. Because by doing that, I just get stuck on the same, of course, we all do that, right? We always recreate the same life we have. How many of us have had the same bad relationships?
Let's not go there.
So if you don't do the work, then you never get to learn what your patterns are and break them. So that's one kind of a challenge. The second one are the people I find who are goal-oriented, and they keep hitting these obstacles trying to reach their goals. And for those people, learning these principles, these focus principles, these mindfulness principles, can be the answer to how to break through the obstacles to achieving a goal. And then the third group, and the reason I'm bringing this up right early is because it kind of occurred to me today that this is really how it works. The third are people, I can relate to this one a lot myself, who have achieved their goals, and they're not sure why, having achieved their goals, that they're not ecstatic. There are a lot of people running around through life. They've got the big house and the fancy car and the boat, and they're still anxious. They're still uneasy. They're still feeling empty inside. And so I think the third group of people that need this kind of focus material are the people who are kind of stuck with a recognition that accomplishment by itself doesn't produce happiness.
Right.
So
happiness
so
is
I like
internal.
I look at all of those and bring something to the table. Bring something to the table that's different from what we've been taught.
Well, you know what's helped me with the focus, and your Facebook video came at a very good time for me because I was writing my book. I was writing my book called Be Amazing. Yes, friends, this is the proof.
That's a good-looking book there you got.
Thank
Marilyn.
you.
Nice.
Thank you. I got it Friday in Deerfield Beach, and I showed it and had a picture with Les Brown.
I saw that picture.
On Saturday. And it was like, yes. It was so close. I was so close to not getting it because Create Space was not doing what they needed to do. So, but I got it, and I was writing, and I had to have my deadline was March 15th, and I was out with you in San Diego, and when I came home, I was writing and writing and writing. I wrote one day from 4:30 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. I wrote 15,000 words. And I'm telling you, I could not have done it if I hadn't had read your book, because it really helped. You talked about, somebody asked on there, they asked, what happens when you've been taken away from your focus? Mm-hmm. And you've got to come back, and you said, actually, that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, why is he saying that's a good thing? That's a yucky thing.
Well, you get to refocus.
But then you said, that's what it was. Yeah. You're using that muscle to refocus so you can get back to where you were doing. So it strengthens, in essence, you said it strengthened the muscle.
We are, I think in so many ways, we've been taught the exact opposite of what really works.
I know.
And even when you read self-help books, and even when we think, well, we know up to a certain point that success is 80% skill set and 20% mindset.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So at least we know that much. But if we know that much, then why is it that, how many books have been written about losing weight? Or how many books have been written about finding love or making more money? Mm-hmm. So how come we're not all skinny and rich and in love?
Tell me about it.
Right?
I know.
So in reality, so the mindset is there's mindset and there's mindset.
Right.
Right. There's the idea of mindset as in your conscious thoughts about what you want. Mm-hmm. I want to be consciously aware of what I want. But then there's all that subconscious stuff, all that stuff below the surface that drives you, right? Maybe you've got old messages inside of you that make you feel bad about yourself. And so you think, well, I've handled my mindset because I'm affirming positive stuff, but you're not necessarily dealing with it at the deepest level. So that's where the real challenge lies, is how do we change things at a deeper level? How do we transform ourselves at a deeper level? And so really focus, as you said, is the most powerful tool at our disposal, because until you do that, you're constantly at the effect of all of your habitual thinking, right? So you think about it, every time you do something that leads you down the wrong road, that's information. Mm-hmm. That's, oh, look at me. I wonder how I ended up back here again. I wonder why I did that again.
You didn't learn it the first time.
Right.
Yeah,
so, and then what do we do? Well, here's the challenge. Here's the funny part about it, is that typically when we realize that we're going down the same bad path, we start beating ourselves up. We start being mad at ourselves. Our negative self-talk accentuates itself, right? But in reality, all that negative self-talk is just more of the same thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? So you're following a bad set of habits, which is your ego, is your kind of the structure of your ego, the subconscious patterns of your mind. And part of those patterns is you beating yourself up for doing that. Mm-hmm. But it's all the same thing. It's all the same, it's all your identity. It's not who you really are.
Well, the thing is, Dr. Wayne Dyer, the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, said ego is the acronym for edging God out.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
lovely.
When you have ego, friends, when you have ego, you are edging God out. So you got to get rid of that.
So how do we edge God back in? How do we open back up again? And that's where the practice of focus is important. And that's why, as you said, it's a constant process. I use the idea of muscular mindedness, that, you know, if I'm going to teach you to meditate, for example, I'm going to suggest that you pick a point of focus. It might be your breath. It might be something, you know, physical within your body. It could be a candle flame. It doesn't matter that much what you're focused. Certainly not at the beginning. It doesn't matter at all. You know, you could be focusing on a piece of lint on the ground. The point is that you're going to focus on it until you can't.
Right.
You're going to focus on it until your mind wanders. And the question is, what are you going to do in the moment that your mind wanders? Are you going to beat yourself up, which means you're back in your ego, your self-critical self, which means you're edging God back out again?
Right.
Or are you going to just notice it and bring your focus back again? And so that's a habitual process. It takes time, it takes exercise, it takes practice. And in the same way that you're going to keep on trying to bring your attention back to your point of focus, that's what exercise is, isn't it? You know, you're going to lift something up and then you're going to have to put it back down, and you're going to lift it and you're going to have to put it back down. So why is it that when people say, I can't meditate, you say, what do you mean you can't meditate? They say, well, I tried, but my mind kept wandering. And I say, well, yeah, duh. That's the point. If your mind didn't keep wandering, you wouldn't need to meditate.
Right.
But you have to have something to focus on during the meditation, focus on breath.
So we can talk a little bit about different strategies, because meditation is, you know, at its heart, the most effective meditation is the simplest meditation.
Right.
Because the more complex you make it, the more your brain has to play with.
Right. And the thing is, with meditation, you have to work at it. It doesn't come the first time you sit down.
My experience with a lot of people is it's a funny thing. Like, a lot of people will have beginner's luck. They'll have their first meditation might be very soothing, but the second one kind of stinks. And then, you know, it's like that. Sometimes you'll have that moment that kind of, it's grace. You know, you'll get a little bit of grace, so you have a little bit of a feeling for where this might go, but it doesn't necessarily in any way tell you what's going to happen next.
Right.
You know, what's going to happen next could be entirely different. Every meditation is different.
You know what I do when I meditate? I take anything that is bothering me, that comes into my head, that doesn't belong there. I put it in a jet and I send it off. And I do that until I can get a clear head. And I keep putting things in a jet. It's like, where did that come from? No, it goes in a jet. Even if I'm going down the road and I'm driving by myself, and y'all might want to try this. You know, you're driving by yourself and something comes in your head, and it might not be it might be a negative thing that happened to you ages ago. It's like, where did that come from? You know? And because of that, I always put those things in a jet and send it off. And that helps clear my head.
See, I like to think
you
of it as clouds.
You must have a lot of jets.
I think of it as clouds constantly. They're clouds that are constantly moving.
Yeah, and but so the clouds don't move fast enough for me. I got to get it in a jet and get it away. The clouds don't cut it. I've tried that. I've tried the balloon, you know, the hot air balloon. Now that didn't work either. It's like, Marilyn, you got to put it in a jet and get off so you can get to the point, so you can get as clear as you can when you put things in a jet and they're gone.
Well, you know, that comes to a different aspect of this whole process, which is the other branch of healing and transformation that I do, which is hypnosis.
I know.
And when you're applying the principles of hypnosis to your well-being, you're doing things like that. Right? What are you doing? You're creating an image. You're creating a visualization, and that's the power of suggestion. You're saying, okay, here's an experience that I don't want, and I'm going to create a representation of it.
Right.
I'm going to let it go. And people don't realize how powerful that can be. But of course, there are many rituals. People do burning bowl rituals, where you write down the things that you don't like, and you write them down, and you burn them. And the ritual itself is not the significant thing. It's the intention behind the ritual.
Right.
That creates that.
But as far as focus, I got to tell you this story. I was in Atlanta on Monday, and I was changing planes. And, you know, Atlanta's the largest airport. It's the busiest airport. It's humongous. You got to take a subway to get from point A to point B. Yeah. And my husband always watches my flight. So he'll text me. I finally got him texting. He has a flip phone, but now he texts to me, which I thought, that's amazing, you know.
With a flip phone?
With a flip phone. Yeah, he texts with a flip phone.
Step up.
He step up, yeah. The first time he texted me, I thought, oh my God, he just texted okay. And it's like I felt like it was the biggest present of the world. He texts me. Oh my gosh, he really texted me. Because he would not text before. You know, I'd go out the door, say, I'll text. Nah, I'll call you. So anyhow, he texts me when I'm getting on into the terminal. Right. And he says, your next gate is at B33. I said, okay, I got 18 minutes to get there. I'm wearing sneakers because I have had to run before, and I'm not a fast runner. But let me tell you, when I have to run, the bionic woman comes out in me, and I'm running without all the chips and the computers and the accoutrements. I wish my kids could see me do this. They would probably laugh. It's really hard. So anyhow, he says you're at B33. So I get to B33. I go down the escalator, get on the tube, get back up the escalator. And when I get to the B terminal, I'm at B18 and 33 is at the other end of the terminal. Yeah. So I'm running, and I get on the plane with 8 minutes to spare. They close the door. So my husband picks me up, and we're eating at one of my favorite places in Richmond, the Silver Diner. When I want comfort food, that's where I go. And he's looking at me, says, Marilyn, what gate did you get out of? And I said, A12, why? He said, well, when you landed and they were putting the jetway to the plane, you were still supposed to go on A13, which was right across the hallway. And he said when you got off the terminal and into the terminal, he said, off the plane and into the terminal, they changed it to B33. I have a personal trainer. Her name is Aubrey. And every time I run through the terminal, she's always with me spiritually because she keeps me going. And I looked at my husband. I hope you're watching, Aubrey. I looked at my husband. I said, I bet you anything. Aubrey called Delta.
Oh, there you go.
Aubrey called Delta to change my gate.
She needs a little exercise.
Yeah, I need it. She says, Marilyn needs some exercise. She really needs some exercise, you know? So she had me going to B33. And when he told me that, I just laughed. I said, Aubrey did that. Aubrey did that. And speaking of Aubrey, she's having a new Health and Confidence in Your Own Skin Summer and Beyond. She's having a new lifestyle-changing 12-week program for anybody who wants to sign up. Give her a call. Her number is 804-367-3589. Michael, if you can get a picture of that. Sorry, Joe's. And she's got this new program. She's awesome. She's a millennial. She's hard on me. She motivates me, but she's had me do things that I didn't ever think I could do, ever.
You wouldn't have made it through the airport.
I wouldn't have made it through the airport without her. I seriously would not.
6 months ago, you would have missed that flight.
I would have missed that flight. Yeah, 6 months ago, I would have missed that flight, definitely.
You probably wouldn't have even tried. You would have just
I would have said, I'm going to get a hotel room. I'll see you tomorrow. Really? Truly.
I hear you.
So that's my and I just sat there and I laughed and I said, Aubrey did that. Aubrey, so if you're watching, don't call Delta anymore, please. Please don't call Delta. So
see, that was also a process of muscle memory because there was a time that you were a runner.
Right, I was a runner.
So now there's muscle memory that you just
brought
back your focus.
I ran 3 to 5 miles, but I was a cyclist. I used to cycle 100 miles a day, several days a week. Yeah. I don't do that anymore. Yeah, I used to do that. I was really buff then.
Got Michael laughing.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there again, you know. But yeah, 100 miles a day. From Odessa to St. Petersburg and back.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's about 47 miles one way. I used to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't do it anymore because I don't live down there. And the bicycle I have is the one I still have in the garage. I still have it. So,
well, one of my mindfulness mentors, Barry, who I'm going to be co-producing a program with, I'll tell you about it in a little bit. He says personal best is mandatory. Right? Oh, yeah. We are the teachers, we are the guides, we're the instructors, we are the people who others are looking to for some understanding of how to live a life that's fulfilling and happy and satisfying and successful. And that sort of puts a certain responsibility on us to do the very best we can to live as healthfully, as happily as possible, right?
Right.
So that we're not just saying words, but that we're actually, that we're congruent. What we're saying is what we're doing.
Yeah. You're walking the walk and talking the talk.
Exactly.
And your book also helped me when I had to finish my book, because I had very little time to get it done. And my deadline was March 16th, and I got my manuscript to the 15th, on the 15th. And I had like 5 or 6
That's one of my favorite testimonials ever because, because you've described an action that you're taking as a result of having read the book. Not just that you felt better, but that actually caused you to do things differently. And the technology, in other words, the ideas that you're talking about are what allowed me to write, 4 or 5 books or works very quickly, right? So everything I've written very quickly.
Didn't you write this in a week?
I did.
You did? Yeah. And part of it is when you want to write something, when you want to do something, my friends, you have to stay focused. You have to block out time. You have to block everything else out. You have to get away from social media, turn all that off, turn your phone off, and get focused to what you're doing, what your goal is to get it done.
And let me add to that also, because that's all absolutely accurate, but there's one more distraction that doesn't cover, right? So, there's all the external distractions that can get you pulled off course, but there's one internal distraction that gets us pulled off course. And that is that typically when you're writing, you're so used to evaluating your stuff. You're so used to being your own critic that what slows you down isn't that you run out of ideas or that you don't know what to say, but that you write a couple sentences and then you go back and you reread them and you think, oh, that's not the way I want to say that. And you second guess yourself. And so you lose all your momentum. You lose all of your kind of creative flow.
Right.
When you allow yourself to have your focus pulled from Marilyn the author to Marilyn the editor.
That's one of the things I learned from my writing coach was just write without editing. Just write your thoughts and keep consistent. Just keep doing it.
Absolutely.
And don't stop.
I mean, that's what I did. How could I write 15,000 words in a day without
have another
editing?
300,000 words getting in the way.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah. It's the 15,000 words is really easy when you're not, adding distraction on top of it. So it's remarkable how much more we can get done. It's exponential.
It is.
When you learn these skills. And we see it in all sorts of ways. We see people being more creative. We see people being more centered. We see people having less conflict. Because what ultimately causes your conflict, what causes your self-doubt, what causes you to feel bad about yourself, it's all the words inside of your head. And as long as you're allowing your mind to be pulled toward those things, you're doomed.
Right. You're not going to get anything done.
Personally, I mean, I wish I could say that I'm beyond all this stuff myself, and I never have to worry. But
you're human.
No, I mean, I suffered like anybody else does, and I've developed through the practice and the exercise of meditation and mindfulness the ability to pull myself back more quickly. But sometimes, sometimes
it catches me too, and it's like I got to get back. And sometimes it's just going to get a glass of water or something, taking just a mini break or going to the restroom or, just sometimes I just go out and scream, just to get it out. And he'll say, you feel better now? It's like, yeah, I feel better, Zen. I do that. I'll just scream.
Your voice just got very low after your scream. Seriously, really.
But I do that every so often, just to get release. I think sometimes when we are so focused and we need to get a break because we're getting to the point where it's not working at the time, we've got to take a break and just go do something else for a couple seconds, just to get, don't you agree with that? Just to get a breather, to get back into focus. I'm a big believer in creative retreat. Sometimes it's a minute, sometimes it's a week, but whatever it is, it's got to be intentional. It's not the same as just, I think I'll just sit down and watch TV for, I don't watch TV. My husband used to work in TV. We don't watch TV.
No?
No. Mm-mm. No, he was Ted Koppel's tape editor for Nightline for 20 years, so.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So we don't watch that much TV.
I hear that.
We read. I read your book.
Do you?
Yeah.
You know, did you meet? I don't know if you met him in San Diego. I think he might have come to Secret Knock. If not this year, last year. Do you know who Jason Freeman is?
I heard of him, but I didn't meet him.
I did a little Facebook live where I talked about my experience with Jason. Jason has cerebral palsy, so he's got a speech defect and some lack of muscle coordination. So if you don't know him, you would think that he's either drunk or had a stroke or is mentally challenged. None of which are true. He's very bright, very charming and smart. And but for many years, he experienced life, through the eyes of self-loathing, because he sounded that way and he saw it as a terrible detriment, right? And so he finally, through yoga, through mindfulness practices, was able to embrace this part of himself. And he wrote a book called Be Your Imperfect Best. I think it's the name of it.
Oh, wow.
I'll bring it back to you, but it's beautiful. And I've been reading it just before we got on this program. And it's just so heartfelt and real. So the ability to take whatever is going on in your life
and turn it around
and let that be, let your authentic self be the thing that guides you to your, to whatever it is that you have to contribute.
Because whatever we're going through, it really is a lesson for us, and we can't dismiss it, because then we miss the lesson that was intended. So I like to think of life as a lesson. It's like going to school. If I don't get through this challenge, I can't move on to the next opportunity. So I've got to master whatever is a challenge in order to pass to the next grade.
Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. And I think it's exactly like that. I think it's a curriculum. And I've heard Ram Dass, the spiritual teacher, call life a curriculum. This is our curriculum, and everybody's got a different one.
Yeah.
Right? We get stuck at different points along the way.
Right. And one of my friends, Lisa Hazelgrove, she always has a curriculum about energy. She helps people with the emotion code, where a lot of your emotions are suppressed from years and years ago and you don't even know, and she helps release them from you. And she's big on energy, and she's having an event on Sunday, April 29th, from how we can raise our vibrational frequency.
Nice.
And she's working on that to help raise people, because when you can get rid of all the emotions, your vibrational frequency expands. And so she's going to have that from 10 to 12 at Resonance Float and Sound down in Sycamore Square. And the workshop's it's $10. So give her a call at 804-539-3251. And so call Lisa or get in touch with her at lisa@lisahealthy.com. And her number is 804-539-3251. So
sounds like a great workshop.
it sounds it sounds like a really good one. And she's really good at helping people get through some of their issues, because she was helping me with some of my emotion code. And I said, where did that come from? And after I was done, I felt a whole lot better.
It's the things that we experience often young in life that stays with us, because it becomes a part of our internal without even thinking about it.
Right.
But it affects everything that occurs with us, because we go back to that place where where we had rejection, or where we had something negative happen to us. So just acknowledging it and being willing to say, that's what it was. This is not what it is now.
Right. Hey, Steve, tell us about you have a chapter in your book about the 5-step stress-free state of happiness.
Yeah, well, we're talking about peak performance, like basically being able to perform at a higher level in life and enjoy your life. So it's sort of what does life look like when you've got all of that mastered, rather than be at the effect of things going on in your life. Oh my God, it's all coming down on me. And so the book is really kind of structured around this five-step peak performance system, so to speak. And really, it's a very spiritual process, right? It really, at the very foundation of what we're talking about, we're saying, number one, you've got to have the intention to be happy.
Right.
And not just to be happy, but the intention to not be unhappy. the intention not to allow things to throw you off your happiness. And that may seem so simplistic or duh, or maybe even seems naive, but it's one of the most courageous things that you can do if you're doing it authentically, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, I'm not suggesting that you pretend you're happy when you're not. I'm not suggesting that, that you just paint a happy face on. But what I'm saying is that until you decide that maybe happiness is something worth striving for, then you think everything else is what's important to strive for.
Right.
Then you're going to keep on trying to get your needs met, right? I need to win this thing. And if I don't win that thing, then I can't be happy.
Right.
It's kind of like looking for love in all the wrong places.
Get bamboozled by our own habitual strivings and cravings.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the first step. The second step really is something that we've kind of alluded to a little bit, which is structure, organization, code, having a code of conduct in life. What kind of person are you? Are you virtuous? Are you a good person? Are you somebody who could be relied upon?
Right.
Are you organized? Are you, is your life in complete disarray? Or in which case you're spending a lot of time spinning your wheels and looking for your keys or whatever, versus having some structure. And a lot of people reject that idea, right? That idea of having a life that's structured and ordered. It sounds boring. It doesn't sound cool. But a great artist needs a canvas to paint on. And in the same way, the canvas on which we paint our masterpiece of life has to exist, right? You got to have that blank slate to work on. And so that blank slate is creating a life that you can trust.
Right.
So how do you do that? How do you learn to be more reliable, more responsible? How do you empty your inbox? How do you make your bed when you wake up in the morning? What are the steps that you're taking to create a life that's got some order and some honor to it?
Yeah. I finally, months ago, I was working with a coach, and I started meditating every morning. And then journaling
that's a good
after
example.
that.
It's like, the discipline, we say discipline is freedom.
Right.
Now that's uncool, right? The teenage mentality is discipline's crap.
Right.
Discipline is boring, right? But the reality is that until you develop the ability to discipline yourself in some way, then you are a victim of your own urges.
Right.
I'll say to people, maybe you're free to eat that piece of chocolate cake, but are you free to not eat it? Right? Or are you the victim of the longing? It's like, I want it, so I've got to have it. And that's the way we live our lives, right? I want it, so I've got to have it. And if you're in my way, then you're bad. Right? As opposed to, I may have preferences, but I'm not addicted to getting what I want. And if I'm not addicted to getting what I want, then I could be more diligent about living with discipline and with honor.
Right.
Right. So that's the second step in that formula. The third step, which is really the core step. The core is mindfulness. The core is developing the ability to have a quiet mind and be able to witness yourself. But as I said, that's what you're going for. But you can't go for it unless you've got discipline, and you can't even have the discipline if you haven't first decided, I want to live a happy life.
Right. And so people say that, but then they don't know how to do it. I want to be happy, but then they have no clue how to do it, how to be happy.
They don't really know what happiness means for them.
They probably don't.
Yeah. They have
who teaches you that? Who teaches you that, right?
Right.
So you're taught, right and wrong, and that's fine to learn right and wrong. But then the next thing that you're taught is the cultural imperatives. What is it like? What is it supposed to be an American in the 21st century? And what is success? Well, you go through school, you get a good job, there's all these kind of things that you're supposed to do. And that's fine. Maybe that's your model of success, but it's not the only one.
No.
So being thoughtful, being able to step back from this kind of cultural norm and decide, is this for me, or is there something else that might be for me? Maybe I'm meant to take a different path in my life.
Right. So what's the fourth one?
Right? And how do I know? So that's where the happiness comes from. I need to know that, this is something that's a path with the heart. Am I on a path with the heart? Big question. I ask myself that question all the time.
Yeah.
Fourth one is leaning into the pressure, leaning into the pain.
That's my favorite.
Because again, this goes right back to how we started this talk, where we said, you said, my focus fell off, and I said, good. Right? And because that's a good example of how most people would say that's bad, right? It's bad to lose my focus. It's bad to, it's bad to be thrown off course. It's bad to feel pain. It's bad to be, distracted. No, it's good if you've got an intention to not be.
Right.
Because then it's a constant reminder, right? A lot of times they say one of the reasons that women tend to be more insightful and wise is because they have periods. And because women have periods, it means every month you've got to be in touch with your body.
You're right.
So
there.
what happens when you don't have it anymore? You don't lose touch.
You've got it all handled.
By then you figured it out.
But the point is that, if there's something that's bringing you back.
There's that cycle.
Present. Right now, you could also gain no consciousness. You could just feel like a victim of your cycle every month, and you could just be bitter about it, right?
Right.
I mean, there are any number of choices. But the point is that if you decide, like right now, you decide, from now on, my life is about like seeking satisfaction and happiness, not by finding externals, but by finding a way to make it work inside of myself, despite the externals. And then the next thing I decide is, I've been living a disorganized life and I'm not very reliable and I haven't had the greatest integrity, so I'm going to fix that. And then the next thing you decide is, okay, now I need to learn, what does it mean to focus? What does it mean to be present? What does it mean to, to find that center? And then fourth, again, is what do I do with the stuff that I don't like? What do I do with it when I feel depressed? What do I do with it when I feel anxious? What do I do with it when somebody pisses me off?
Acknowledge
what do I do with that stuff?
Oh, well, I'm a turtle, so when somebody pisses me off, I just snap at them.
Oh, you're a snapping turtle. Okay.
Yeah, I practice turtle philosophy. A turtle has a hard shell. So when somebody says something that hurts your feelings, you let it bounce off your shell. And you can retreat like a turtle, and you can take risks like a turtle. And then if somebody pisses you off, you can snap at them. I have practiced that for 35 years.
So it's working for you.
It's working for Now, sometimes when people have an acid tongue that hurts my feelings, that's a little bit tough sometimes. That's the hardest one. But I'm pretty good at it now. That's something I really had to work at, like people have to work at meditation or losing weight or, getting focused. And I've practiced, I have a turtle ring on. I have turtles all over my house because it reminds me that I can take risks. I can get out there. And right now, Steve, I am so far out of my comfort zone that I don't know how to get back.
Well,
so I'm just going to stay out there.
Yeah, but your comfort zone is moved, so
yeah,
you know
it
that's
has,
no longer.
but
exactly.
I'm just way out there now, and
wait for comfort to catch up with you.
It will, but then when it catches up with me, I've got to go to the next level, and I know that. So that will be when I'm the turtle, and I'll just get back out there and take more risks. But there's times when I retreat. Like earlier today, I was retreating when I was getting ready for the show. I was doing some other things. I had to fix my hair and I had to put makeup on. I don't wear makeup that often. And as soon as the show's over, I guarantee you I'm going to take it off. So, but that's,
But that's just preparation.
Well, so. Yeah, but, that was my way of retreating so I could get ready for the show tonight, And a friend of mine, she bequeathed me this necklace. It is made out of labradorite. And I thought of Woody because she says it's Labrador with a right on the end. And I thought, oh, my God, this is like Woody, labradorite. Michael, can you zero in on this necklace? And Saul Munoz, she and I just connected just recently. And one day I was up early working on my book. I mean, I'm not a morning person. But I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And there were some times when I was up at 2 or 3. I was up at 3 this morning.
That's the most creative time.
Yeah, and I'm not a morning person. My circadian rhythm really doesn't start till 10 o'clock in the morning. But because I was writing my book, I had to get up. Because I was working with a guy who did my cover and who was working with me. And he lives in Pakistan.
Ah, okay. Yep.
So, and they're 9 hours ahead. So, if I'm not up at 4:30 in the morning, sometimes I don't catch him because it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon there. So I was getting up, and when I would wake up, I couldn't go back to sleep. It's like, I have to get this done. you know. And one day I was talking to Saul Munoz. She lives in Richmond. She does all this beautiful jewelry. Saul, I hope you're watching. It's all this wire, this twisted wire. She does a beautiful job with these gems. And we talked at like 5:30 in the morning. We're talking on the phone. You know, I don't talk to people at 5:30 in the morning, but it helped get me focused because then I could write some more. And that was the time when I retreated for a little bit just to talk to her, you know, and we got together and she said, she says, would you like to wear, you know, I said, I need a piece of jewelry. I'd love to have something. And she says, this is for protection. And it's like, I need that right now. You know, I need that. So it was great. And it's wonderful to have friends like that in the holistic field that have your back.
Right,
you know, it's so important.
Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because, you know, we just talked about the 4 out of 5 parts of the system. And the 5th part is what I call assemble your lifeboats.
Like
and what do I mean by that? Well, you know, you brought this up a little bit earlier too, and it just came up right now. And that is, none of us are reliably conscious.
Right.
Right. There are times, I mean, I certainly have this, and unless you've reached a level of complete enlightenment, there are times when things just get the better of you, when you're going to react, when you're going to have a difficult time stepping back from your emotions, when you're not going to be able to lean in, because if you lean in, you're just going to get sucked in. Right. It's just you don't have the necessary strength to be able to say, wow, I could really feel this sense of discomfort inside of me right now, but it's not me, right? You are not your mind. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You get to witness that stuff and then reaffirm who you really are, God within, right? That kind of centered core of who you are. But sometimes whoosh, you're in it, right? I have most of today, I was in it. I was just swirling with this, sense of futility. I've got a bunch of projects I'm working on. They're not all coming to fruition the way I want them to, or they make me feel inert, right? It feels frustrating, and I'm not getting the results I want. And, you know, when I'm feeling really strong, I could just say, wow, look at how my mind wants to make me wrong and bad. But it's just me noticing. I'm not my mind. It's just something that's going on, right? On the other hand, there's also the times when there's no part of me out here saying, look at how my mind's doing that. It's real. It just feels real. I'm just miserable. Right. We all have those times. So, but the wise individual, knowing that he or she is going to meet those challenges sometimes where they're not going to be able to rise to their highest self. What they do is they assemble their lifeboats. Right? If you think of it like when it's really bad, you're drowning, right? You know, you don't have the strength to swim. You can't get up on top of the water. You can't get on top of your misery and your self-doubt and your bad voices and your sense of despair. You need a lifeboat. Well, what's a lifeboat? A lifeboat are these people in your life
that can
who
rescue
support you, who can say, hey, Marilyn, I know right now you feel like it's hopeless. But it's not. I've seen you when you're at your best. I know who you really are.
I had that yesterday. I was having a difficult time yesterday, and I was crying, and then I would be okay, and then I was crying again, and I said to Zen, my husband, I said, I'm sorry I'm crying off and on today. And he goes, you've been crying? I didn't even realize you'd been crying, because he was only busy doing his own thing. And believe it or not, it brought me back to focus.
Well, that's interesting. You know, you could interpret that experience in a couple of ways. I mean, if you wanted to make it like, where was he? But the reality is what I hear in that, and what I hear you saying in that, is that by him not reacting, he created a safe space.
Yes.
You were safe to have the cry and the not cry and the cry and the not cry, because the container, the context of your relationship supported whatever the waves were that were passing through. And you didn't need him to drown with you. You didn't need him to cry with you. You just needed him to be okay with the fact that you were. And that's a good definition for a safe friend. A good lifeboat is somebody not who feels bad because you feel bad. Not somebody who tries to jump in and give you a bunch of advice, but somebody who's like, gotcha. Been there. You know what you mean?
Yeah.
Boy, that can suck.
Yeah, and I just
create safety for you.
I just had one of those days, and if you all have one of those days, it can be difficult, but you can get through it. And the thing I said last night was, I made it through the day. Mm-hmm. I really made it through the day, and
it's okay to have those periods too.
It's okay. I was talking to a friend yesterday morning on the phone, and she says, "Marilyn, are you okay?" And I said, "No, I'm having a bad day." And I told her what was going on, and she said, "I want to pray for you." I said, "Please pray for me and my family." And she starts praying on the phone with me.
So was that our conversation when I prayed with you?
No, this was another one.
Conversation?
She prayed with me too, but this was another one. And she could tell in my voice that there was something wrong. I was trying to hide it. And she could tell in my voice and my energy that there was something wrong. Yeah, people, I'm human. I do cry. I really do cry. There are times. It doesn't come too often where I cry off and on all day long, but I did yesterday. I really did.
But there are times that you need that release.
That's what
you really do need that
sometimes
release.
I've had so much pent up in me. It's like I just had to cleanse myself. Cleanse myself of the pent up emotions that I had because I was so far out of my element, so far out of my comfort zone, and it's like I just need a release. I just needed a release, and yesterday was the day that I released, and I felt so much better when I got up this morning. It's important. At first I felt so selfish, and I felt so I just felt really bad.
You felt really
totally
out of your element.
Out of my element because I don't.
You had just had this real high all over the weekend.
All over the weekend.
And then to come back to this place, it's like being suspended.
Yeah, and it was like coming back to reality. And it was, I just couldn't deal with it. Bottom line, I just couldn't deal with it. In fact, one day when I was working on my book, and I was so close to getting it to get to create space. And I was talking to my coach that day, and I had sent my husband to the grocery store to get some groceries because I hadn't been out in days because I was at the laptop. And I said, I sent him to the grocery store, and I was talking to my coach on the phone, and all of a sudden I said, I just can't do this. And I started crying. And I had like a 10-second pity party, whatever you want to call it, totally where I lost it. And he says, now get back. And he got me back focused, wiped my tears, and it was all done.
There you go. That's a lifeboat.
Yep. And that's a great example of a lifeboat. That's one thing I think that you're good at, and I imagine, Josie, you're good at too, is if you've been in a healer, if you've been in self-help for some time, you know what some of your needs are. You know that there's a tendency to want to shame yourself like you did at the beginning. And you know that at those moments you can't do it yourself. It's hard to pull yourself out of it.
And not everybody can be a lifeboat in the same situation. So you know who are the right people that can recenter you.
That's right.
Because, when we grew up, at least in my upbringing, a lot of what I heard was, not what you would call good parenting or good coaching. It would be like, oh, don't feel that way.
Right.
Or you're crying, I'm going to give you something to cry about.
Right. Or wait till your father gets home. Yeah. That's the one I got. So
what happened is it wasn't made safe for us to have emotions.
No. Right? Especially guys. Especially boys don't cry.
To suppress your emotion rather than express your emotion. And really, it's not a question at this point in our consciousness. It's not a question of whether you suppress it or express it. It's a question of whether you witness it. It's a question of whether you're able to be with it.
Right.
You don't have to cry. I mean, sometimes crying feels very cathartic, and it's great. But the thing that's most important is that you're present to it.
Right.
Acknowledge that it
exists.
Allow it to be.
Acknowledge it and move on. And Josie, what's up with you with Damsel? What are you doing now?
So this month is child sexual assault awareness and domestic violence awareness month. So we're doing a lot of things around that. I've been doing a lot of senior warrior workshops where I've been teaching self-defense to seniors. And I just earned an incentive trip to Maya Riviera.
She's going to Mexico.
For a week, all expenses paid.
Is Michael going with you?
No, he's not.
You're going by yourself?
I'm going by myself.
OMG. Yeah. She's going by herself.
I love to travel, so, you know, sometimes he goes, sometimes he doesn't go. But I'm
free. It's a beautiful place to go, and it's a beautiful time of year to go.
So I'm looking forward to that.
And when you leaving?
I'm leaving May 5th. I'll be back I'm leaving May 7th. I'll be back the 12th.
Okay.
So on a Monday, I'll be back on a Saturday. I'll be back just in time for Mother's Day.
That's right. That's right. And by the way, the day before Mother's Day, I am running the 5K downtown. That was that was one of the things on my living list. And there's a Susan G. Komen. There's always this race the day before Mother's Day, and my daughter and I have run it before. So a couple months ago, she says, "Mom, you want to run that race? Is that on?" I have a living list. I don't have a bucket list. I don't want to put things in a bucket. I want to live it. I don't want to pull them out of a bucket. So I said, one of the things on my living list is I want to get back and run a 5K. You want to do the Komen race? Sure, we can do the Komen race. Celebrate Mother's Day all weekend long, right?
Sure.
You just warmed up going for the airport.
I did. I just warmed up going through a couple airports past couple months, you know. So she said, she texted me a couple weeks ago. She says, "You still want to do it?" And I said, "Yeah, send me the link." So she texted me back. Tiffany, I don't know whether you're watching this, but she texted me back and she said, "You're already signed up. Now you can't back out." So I said, "Okay, you're on." So we're going to do it. I'm excited. Just hope it doesn't rain. I'm a fair weather person.
It's going to be a beautiful day.
If it starts raining in the middle, I don't care. Yeah. You know, I don't want to have to run in a downpour, but I'll keep you posted on that one.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Yeah, so it'll be fun. Because I know you walk Woody a lot. You're always walking Woody. Yeah,
and it was drizzling when our last walk was a little earlier this evening, and it was drizzling.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Wow. Does he like the drizzle?
More than I do.
Do you still have snow on the ground?
Not after today.
Not after today.
I think the rain kind of put that to rest. Yeah, but we've there's been a little bit on the ground. I mean, I was gone for a good portion of the winter, so when I came back, I kind of hoped I was coming back to spring. And imagine my surprise.
Yeah, I know. You had a picture where you were dressed up like an Eskimo, and it's like, welcome home back to Burlington, Vermont, because you winter out in San Diego, don't you? Or you did this year?
Yeah, well, this was the first year I spent 2 months, and next year I think I'll go for 3 months.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it was great. And what's funny is that I was in San Diego for 2 months, during which I didn't have any speaking engagements except one that wasn't in San Diego. It was in Las Vegas. So for that 2-month period, I had some online things to do, but my only live event was in Vegas toward the end of the 2 months. But nothing in San Diego. So now a week and a half go by since I got back from San Diego, and next week I've got a gig in San Diego.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, right? So next, what is it? Today is... the
12th.
What? Friday?
Thursday.
No, Thursday. Today's Thursday. So next Thursday, I fly out to Des Moines, Iowa, and I speak in Iowa to the Iowa Chiropractic Society.
Oh, wow.
I'm there for a couple of days, doing a couple of programs for them, and then I'm out to San Diego for an organization, NEBB, which is... environmental systems and buildings. It's the people in that industry. So it's an organizational convention for them.
Isn't Palmer Chiropractic out in Iowa?
Yep.
Is it near where you're going to be talking? I don't remember where it is. No,
it's right, but it's right near where I accidentally booked my flight.
There are no accidents.
I knew I was going to Iowa. And I knew that Palmer is in Davenport, so I booked a flight to Davenport, Iowa, and I got a call from the Iowa Chiropractic Society, and they said, "You do know that the event is in Des Moines, and it's about 4 hours from Davenport."
Wow.
So I had to change my flight so I'd get into
Des Moines,
which was 5 minutes from where the event is going to be versus 4 hours plus.
Right. Yeah. That's good. How can people get in touch with you? Steve?
Well, the easiest way to reach me is through my website,
right,
or through Facebook. What we're doing right now, because we've been building a community around this new book, around in the trenches, and building some products and programs around it. So I created a Facebook page specifically for people who are interested in kind of communicating about the book.
Right.
So that page is called Unshakable Nation. Mm-hmm. So it's a Facebook page.
I'm a member of that. I am a member of that. Yeah.
You are a member of that. So if you go on Facebook and do a search for the group Unshakable Nation, you'll find it. And then I will, you've got to like ask to join, but I haven't refused anybody yet. So we'll let you in. And the objective is to create a kind of a place where you'll find some interesting posts, mm-hmm. Some videos. As you've seen, I've put up some pretty interesting videos. I'm very proud of those.
You should be. And they're very, very helpful, very insightful.
Thanks.
They are.
And of course, my website, my personal website is Steve Taubman. My name's SteveTaubman.com.
Right.
So for people who are looking to learn more about my speaking engagements and things like that, or even my entertainment, that's the place most people would start. But as far as kind of being part of this book community, Unshakable Nation Facebook group, I'll also mention that I've got a new thing. I didn't tell you about this yet.
The radio show. You're doing a radio show. Aren't you doing a radio show?
I've got two good new things after that. Okay. So, yes, I'm doing a radio show. We had our first episode last on Monday. So it's going to be every Monday at noon. And noon Eastern time.
Now, how can people find you for that?
Well, at this point, the best, if you want to listen live, you go to CTR Network. That's mm-hmm. Contact Talk Radio Network. And that's where it'll be broadcast. But what we're doing is we're taking these radio shows and we're making them into a podcast.
Oh.
So they'll be available, you'll be able to find them on iTunes and wherever else podcasts are. Yeah. And I'm honored that C-Suite, I don't know if you know Jeff Hazlett and C-Suite,
yes.
is going to host it as well.
That's
so
great.
It'll be one of their podcasts.
That's wonderful.
So that's a big game. The show is called Executive Zen.
Right. You talked about that on the Unshakable Nation, and I said that is a really good title. I like that title. Yeah.
So it's mindful leadership. Lead consciously, profit responsibly.
Right.
My guests will all be people who help us understand more about what we bring, from the heart, what we bring to our leadership, and what what we could do in the community and in the world to have our prosperity matter in a bigger way. So you've got, for example, Frank Shankwitz, the founder of
Make-A-Wish Foundation. Yeah, he's a wonderful man.
Yeah, he's going to be my fourth guest, I think.
Okay.
So a lot of really, really wonderful guests are coming on. I think I'm going to have Jeff Hoffman, who was the guy who founded Priceline.
Right.
We've got another one is Ron Klein, the grandfather of possibility. He basically invented the credit card.
I know. He's my coach.
That strip on the back of your card. He invented that, which is what made credit cards proliferate.
Yeah, he's my coach.
Oh, he's amazing.
He is amazing. He's
your coach? That's cool.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be on my show as well. So I'm very excited about that. It's fun. My first show went off really well with Colby Kay.
Right.
And you could listen to that. If you want, I'll send you a link.
Send me a link and I'll put it on Facebook. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is we just decided fairly recently, this has been kind of floating around as an idea, that everything we've been talking about tonight, it's great to talk about. Mm-hmm. But unless you do the work, unless you do the inner process, unless you do the inner push-ups, it doesn't change your life, right? So we wanted to create a support system, and a lot of people can't get up and go away on a retreat.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So instead, we created an 8-week program. It's called the Buddha in the Trenches Super Soul Sunday Workshop.
Wow.
And every Sunday we'll have a 90-minute online discussion through Zoom and help support people in learning the different skills that the book teaches, and particularly how to meditate, how to self-hypnotize, how to dissolve negative emotions and things of that sort. So that's going to be, that information will also be made available right on the Unshakable Nation.
Thank you very much, Steve. My husband's saying we have to say goodbye. Thank you for allowing us to come into your living room. I truly appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy your weekend. Look for my book soon. It'll be on Amazon. This is just the proof. Be amazing. How to stay motivated to achieve results in a fast-paced world. See you soon. Be amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks, Steve. Can you stay on for a little bit? Thank you. Thanks, Steve.
That went fast.
It goes really fast.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies when you're having fun. It goes really fast. It really does.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to say.